Namaskar, Sat Shri Akal and Salam. Here we are. Shall we start?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, I need to tell you just in short that we are studying the Upanishad and we are adopting a scientific approach. As I said yesterday, if you understand the fact that scientific need not necessarily be only physical science, something that you can put into the test tube. If you understand science as not just the science of physical object visible to us, then we are going somewhere. When you begin to study the Upanishad, or when you begin to study a subject which is beyond ordinary, something which you cannot see with your senses, let's say. Now you have how many senses? How many senses do we have? 5, right? Sight, most important sense, sight. Or look at all the visuals and videos that come up on internet. Sight is very important. Okay. Then hearing. You may see a pleasant face, but if that pleasant face started cursing, then we are in trouble. Hearing. Hearing is very important. Importance is felt especially when you wake up in the morning. I don't know how many of you wake up quite early in the morning. Look out of the window. Sight is so important. You see wonderful things. And you also hear the chirping of the birds and so on. Ears are important. No, you can't hear unless if your ears are not, you can't hear what I am saying. And you can't see my video if the eyes are not working. So these are in the Vedantic language called Panchendriyas, the 5 sense organs. Then you have the sense of touch, which of course as of now has not come into internet. I think as things are progressing, a time will come when you're talking you could shake hands through the screen or something like that. Well, I'm very pro technology, please. Then you have, and probably this handshake through the video will not have the danger of infection and so on, like with COVID, because it is virtual, not yet come. I'm saying perhaps yogis had some such handshakes, who knows. Now, then we have the sense organ which smells. Everything may be fine, the room may be beautiful, but if there is a foul odor coming, you will get out of the room. Witness all the deodorants and perfumes that human beings use. Okay. So 4 are over. So there must be a 5th sense organ. What is that? Taste. Taste. Something can look very nice, but if it doesn't taste good, no use. So we have 5 sense organs. I'm trying to say, with the 5 sense organs, you can only comprehend a 3-dimensional world. What if there are dimensions which are outside the 3? What if there are? Ask yourself a question. There may be worlds which are beyond the 3 dimensions. What are the 3 dimensions? We know, you know that. Length, breadth, height or depth, either way. Then of course the color and so on. I'm going to have one session where we look at the qualities of a structure which we see and how the qualities do not belong to the structure but to something. We will come into that in one of these courses. So, okay. Now there is the wind. The only way you know there is wind is you feel it. Other senses don't work. What if there are things where none of these senses can reach, but something else can reach? If that is so, you will call it the sixth sense. Maybe if there is a sixth sense, there could be a seventh sense, and so on endlessly. Maybe. Let's keep it like that. Hypothesis. Now, till today, not today, till some years ago, everybody thought, most of us thought, that matter is only what you can hold, what you can see, what you can taste, and so on. And we were sure that it is made up of atoms and molecules, so on and so forth. Then the scientists, I am talking about the physicists, not mystics, went deeper into the study of matter, deeper. And then came this strange but wonderful subject called quantum physics. Quantum physics is an examination and study of quantum units, which are the building blocks of this entire universe that you see and which we think is solid. Now, if you ask a quantum physicist, he will tell you that the quantum, you cannot call it a particle, you cannot call it a wave, the quantum units, basic quantum unit, is actually not visible to the eye. Even an atom is not visible to the ordinary eye, and not even through an electron microscope can you see an atom. You can see bacteria, you cannot see an atom. So, how do you know that the atom exists? Through reactions, through the reactor, through which the fields are created, and through the reactions of the field you know that the atom exists. And a quantum physicist who has looked deeply into the atom will tell you, looked means has figured out through experimental analysis of the fields created and the reactions created by them, will tell you that it is mostly space. Mostly space with some kind of minor weight in the middle, which they will call the proton or neutron, which they consider plus. And then the most part of it is space and an electron going round. And these electrons also behave in strange ways, although they don't seem to have brains. If they move to another shell of another metal, it becomes another chemical combination. And the electrical charge of an electron is a minus. Now, somewhere between this plus and minus, it maintains a balance, but sometimes the balance breaks also. It jumps to the other layer. This is an atom. That is the smallest that you can, even that you cannot see with an electron, but we have to believe it. Why? Because of the reactions you see in the field created for that. Can't see it. You cannot smell it. And these are the units that build up this universe, which no one can see and no one can except feel. Feeling is not like touch feel. No, because of the reactions. Okay, now from there you go to quantum. Many little quantum units form atom and electrons. Many little. So they are smaller than that. Mesons and so on. Now, till the time quantum physics developed to this extent, the physicist was cocksure about the solidity of matter and how it is made and so on. Once they entered into the field of quantum physics, uncertainty came into the picture. Now they are certain of the uncertainty. And what is this uncertainty? I wish you, because some of you may be physics students, to study some of the discussions of Nobel Prize physicist David Bohm, Davidbohme, I think. David Bohm, also especially his discussions with Krishnamurti. Now, what happens in a field where the quantum units are detected through the experimental magnetic fields of the large reactor is you are looking at them. I mean, you are seeing the reaction, not looking, you can't look with the eyes. And then you see that there is a wave. As you are watching, suddenly the wave becomes a particle, behaves like a particle. Then you conclude, oh, this is a particle, it behaves like a wave. In fact, David Bohm and a few other physicists are of the opinion that perhaps it depends on the observer. Not fully accepted yet. They are still in the twilight zone in this matter. He said it could be dependent on the observer, because when you observe the wave, it becomes a particle. When you observe a particle, it becomes a wave. I could even say it depends on this observer, and probably there is an infinite observer sitting there. Who knows? May not be a human being. So, from absolute certainty about the solidity of matter, today we have come to the uncertainty principle, which is accepted in all quantum physics theories, which is that the smallest unit of matter is neither a wave nor a particle, which means it could be both or we don't know. That's the better answer, we don't know. So, if we don't know even the smallest bit, it all came through great research. I appreciate research. It's good to do research and be sure about it. I understand that. We are only speculating right now because somebody worked hard. Right. So, from the absolute certainty of the solidity of matter, physics has now, quantum physics, because of quantum physics, physicists have now begun to say we don't know. Perhaps it's a particle, perhaps it's a wave. So, what I am trying to say is, as you know, we discussed yesterday, the Upanishad says, he who knows, knows not, and he who knows not knows. Now, this is a strange statement coming 1,000 years ago, when this statement comes only some years ago, maybe 160, I don't know, 80. So, how did these guys sitting there in the forest hermitages with no atomic reactors at their command say that he who knows knows not and he who knows not knows? Just think about it. Where was the source that they got this understanding from? Was it an extraterrestrial source? Or was it that their minds were so expanded that they could discover? We don't know. Still in this speculative state. But it happened so. Which means, look at this carefully, this statement. It's from the Upanishad. I will go into it when we do that particular Upanishad. When I say I know, there is no other research possible. And if there is no other, because I know, so I don't want to look into it. I am so certain. Then, will I inquire? No, it's over. If I don't inquire, will I find out? No. Now, if I say I don't know, perhaps there is a chance that I might inquire. You look at all the great discoveries of science, which started with somebody saying, this is what someone said, this is what we believe, but we don't know, let's look. So there is a chance that one who says I don't know has a better chance of understanding the reality. Therefore, the Upanishad says, and there are other factors which we will discuss when that sentence comes up somewhere, the psychological points also in this, not only just a physical statement, which means that he who knows, he who thinks who knows not, because he will not further inquire into it. And he who knows not knows, which means then he will find out after some time, at least, what it is all about. So, uncertainty is not frowned upon either in Vedanta or in quantum physics. Uncertainty is an accepted fact in quantum physics. So also in the Upanishad. Because the Upanishad claims that which is to be truly understood cannot be grasped by the five senses. It is beyond. Therefore, perhaps there is a need to work on the understanding that there might be a sixth sense to look at it, or maybe more than that. Now, this brings us to another thing. Today, we use only 25% of our brain, even less. What's happening to the other parts of the brain which are not used? Why are they there? We are an evolved human organism. Why are they there? Is there something out there which we haven't yet explored? I'm only asking questions because we are, especially IIT Delhi, so I am hoping that you're all quite cerebral, so I'm asking questions. Is there something beyond, or is it just this much that we know? Are there parts of the brain which are not functioning enough? What we see before us, is it merely a civilization of the frontal lobe? Or there are other parts which are not active, but which when activated, we might have what is called the sixth sense. We don't know, we are asking questions. This is the way of Upanishad, ask questions, debate, find out for yourself, with only a little bit of guidance. Right? So this is the other thing to note. Perhaps there are techniques. Interesting. We have many sessions, don't worry, we will come to the point. Upanishad. This is all Upanishad, what we are talking. I am not quoting, but we are talking. There was a great Sufi teacher whose name was Jalaluddin Rumi, wrote the famous Masnavi. And he is the founder of a particular order of mystics. He was in Turkey, so they are called dervishes. Dervish. So he found an order called the order of the whirling dervishes. They whirl like a top. You know the little top which children play with. Sometimes grown-ups also play with. They whirl like a top with one hand up and one hand down. And then at the command they freeze. When they freeze, something happens. Perhaps that which was revolving inside is still revolving. The body becomes still. And perhaps it goes off from the body, who knows. Or it could be that some part of this which was not working normally has started to get activated, so you have access to higher levels of consciousness. At the moment we cannot see any mind except the brain, so it must be having a great deal to do with the brain. Where will you find the mind and the body? All thinking comes from here. So the yogis say, the mystics say, that there are different parts of the brain, inside the brain, especially the endocrine system, the ductless glands, which when activated, one gets to know things which are not visible to the ordinary eye, or not tangible to the physical organs of sensation. This is the other aspect of the Upanishad. The practice. We will discuss theory first and then go to the, but I am just saying there is a practice. There are daily regular practices by which these centers which are not activated can be activated. And they should be done very carefully under guidance, because you know what will happen if certain centers in your brain which are not active are activated without control. What happens if the audition center in the brain is activated and you don't know how to stop it? You will start hearing voices. Not a good thing, then you will have to rush to the psychiatrist. I am hearing voices, somebody is saying, do this, do that. You see that? So, these are all dangerous subjects. So, which is why I say don't fall into the hands of quacks. Be very careful about these matters. Talking about the practical applications of meditation and so on. So, now we are still on theory stage. So, today we are going to deal, you see it's like this. When it is physical matter, you need a physical lab. Even if it is a quantum physics, you need a quantum lab. Fortunately for us, the aspect which we are studying is also linked to our own consciousness. So you can look at it through ourselves even without any instruments and begin to discover slowly until you come to the stage when you say, now I have to do something about this. These faculties which I possess are not enough. But till then we need to look at the background, the theory, what it actually could mean. So today, as I said yesterday, I am dealing with the smallest Upanishad you will find in the Vedas, the smallest Upanishad. And this I discussed yesterday, the frog Upanishad, the Mandukya Upanishad. And the Mandukya Upanishad has only 12 verses, not more. In these 12 verses, the Upanishad does not discuss what we should do or what we should not do or nothing of that kind, who you are or what. It simply discusses the different states of consciousness which are common to all human beings and one which is not so common to all human beings, which is possible according to the Upanishad for the human being to access, but not common. This is the subject of the Mandukya Upanishad. Now, what it does is, it takes the syllable OM. I want you to do one thing. Don't look at OM as a denominational word. Look at OM as sound, pure sound. Let's leave other things out. Pure sound. It's interesting. It's not only in, perhaps in India it was ancient, but even a little after that, you will find one sentence in the book of the Jews, which is also studied by the Christians and which is also respected by the Abrahamic religions all, including Islam. And this is the Old Testament and the New Testament. New Testament, well, Old Testament everybody takes. There is one sentence which, from John, John. In the beginning was the Word. In the beginning was the Word. What is the word in Sanskrit for word? Vak. Vak, vacha, comes from vak. The beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Now, Om. I'm going to quote the Rig Veda now. Prajapati vai idam agriyasit. That the beginning, when nothing was there was only the Prajapati, one who is the Lord of Praja. Tasya vak divityasit. And there was the word, the sound, the vacha, which is Om, according to the Sanskrit tradition. It's the sound, pure sound of Om. A, beginning with A. Many mystical teachings say that the beginning with everything begins with A. So, Prajapati, Tasya Vak, and the word was there, the sound was there. Vakvai Parabrahman, and that word was the Supreme Being. So, that Supreme Reality, hypothetically, let's say, which is before all creation, is defined by the sound of Om. So, let's not say because it is Sanskrit, it is Hindu, this, that. It's an ancient language. Aryabhata wrote all his maths in Sanskrit. Kalidasa wrote all his literature in Sanskrit. Sushruta wrote the Sushruta Samhita, masterpiece on medicine, in Sanskrit. It's an ancient language. It's a beautiful language to study. Study it as a language. Don't worry about other things. So, Om comes from that tradition. Now, Om traditionally has been divided into three syllables. The first syllable is A, as I said. Even a dumb person who cannot speak can say A. So, alpha. I am the alpha and the omega. The alpha, is also the beginning of sound, beginning of creation, beginning of everything. Then, when the is lengthened a bit, it becomes O. This is the stage when after a sound is created, it is sustained. So, that is creating, generating and sustaining what is generated. And Om, the Ma, you close your mouth, it's over. If you need to start a new word, you have to open your mouth again. So, it is the end, distraction. Just like birth, life and death. And this is the symbolic meaning. It also has a sound effect. Every ancient sound has a certain effect on the human organism and in the atmosphere. And Om is among the most sacred of words in the Upanishads. So, the Mandukya Upanishad begins by describing Om in a different way. It talks about A as one thing, U as another, and Ma as another thing. Not as creation, preservation and distraction, but something else. And this is what we are going to do. Look at it. What does it say? Yogis also have to wear glasses to read small print. At the age of 72, mind you. So, the significance of Om. First shloka of the Mandukya. If you be a little patient, because I like to read the Sanskrit first fast and then go to the English, okay? Because it sounds so much better than reading English, honestly. So, okay. Om iti. Most Indian language, you know what is iti. Now, this, ida in Malayalam, idu in Tamil, iti in Sanskrit. Okay. Om iti etad aksharam idam sarvam. Om. This syllable is all this. All this meaning will come what it means by all this. It could mean the whole universe, it could mean something else. We'll come to that. Om iti etad aksharam idam sarvam. Om, this syllable is all that is. Tasyopa vyakhyanam. Now an explanation of this vyakhyan. What is the explanation? Bhutam bhavad bhavishyat iti sarvam. Omkarameva. All that is the past, the present and the future All this is only the syllable Om, the sound Om. Starts with A. The moment you utter it, A has become past, any sound. And then it goes to U, and soon it has become past. Then you come to and it's finished, past. Before, when you say then the rest is in future. As you utter it, it is the present. The moment you utter it, it is the past. So, all that is the past, the present and the future, all this is the syllable Om. Then it doesn't stop there. Past, present, future is normal. We all know that it exists. So, Bhutam Bhavat Bhavishyad iti sarvam Omkarameva, this is all Om. Yat Chanyat Trikalatitam Tadapi Omkarameva. And whatever else there is beyond this threefold time, which means past, present and future, that is also the syllable Om. The normal world has past, present and future. Perhaps there is something which is beyond past, present and future. This is psychological also. Shall we look into this? Is there something beyond past, present and future? Normally all thoughts, everything that we know of in this world has a present which becomes the past. And then when it has not yet become the present, it is the future. The moment it has passed, it is said, the present immediately becomes the past. Anything, even any experience. How? I don't know about an object at the moment. I say I am going to study this object. Okay? I have studied it. And I say now I know what this object is. Okay? So what does it mean actually? When I say I know about this object, what does it actually mean? It means I have understood this object and then I have made an outline of what it means and put it in my memory. Therefore, when I say I know this object, which means I have a memory of what this object is, defined and put in some kind of a cubbyhole. And when I say I know about this object, I am at any time able to open the cubbyhole and bring out what I know. But what I knew is already in my past, stored in my brain. Now the Upanishad says the truth is eternally present, so it cannot be anything in the past which is stored in the brain. It has to be here and now. No past and no future, is present now. So here it means while Om represents the past, present and future, when the Ma sound is pronounced and everything comes to an end, Om, there is something beyond past, present and future. The present. Before the new A starts, again, before we utter another word, we have to look carefully at where it ends, which means one thing ends and there is another thing which is unending. Silence is actually unending. Here and there it is broken by sound. Silence has no past, no present, no future. Silence. When the past, present and future are not existing, then there is silence, unending, never-ending silence. Beautiful silence, actually. Anyway, so, I enjoy what I'm teaching, which is why I'm doing it. I hope you enjoy. I don't know. Let's see. I think you are. So you're young minds. So, Om, this syllable is all that is. An explanation of that follows. All that is the past, the present and the future is the syllable Om. Whatever else there is beyond the threefold time, that is also Om. So we have to look if there is anything beyond past, present and future. This is what the Upanishad is trying to say. That is also Om. Second shloka. Sarvam hi etad brahma. Ayam atma brahma. So ayam atma chatuspat. All this is the supreme truth. There is nothing other than that. We will go into this carefully. All this is verily the Brahman, the supreme truth. Brahman here means, Brahman, the word Brahman is derived from the Sanskrit word brih, which means to expand. So something that is ever expanding and never ends like a physical object is Brahman. It's always moving, growing. It's like the universe, like the what is that called? Galaxy. Nobody can say it ends, it keeps on. It may change from one form to another, which we call death, but it is infinite. So, all this that you see is really Brahman. You think it is something else, but it is actually only that. Why? Because we have only three-dimensional capacities. So we see only that. Reflection of three dimensions actually is infinite. Then, good news. This self, myself, which is watching everything, listening to everything, the seer, is also the Brahman. Which means I can know that infinite Brahman, conclude as a corollary to this, I am saying, you can understand the supreme reality called the Brahman or the Om only through myself, because I am also that Brahman. Myself is also the Brahman, the seer, one who sees everything, one who hears everything. Now there is another Upanishad which deals with this exactly, which says, who is it that hears when I say I hear? Who is it that sees when I say I see? We'll do it in the next, after this. It's an interesting Upanishad. It's called Who Upanishad, Keno Upanishad, which means the identity crisis of who I am is a 2000 years old, not new. So here we go. So all this is verily the Brahman. When I say Brahman, please consider that as the supreme absolute reality. This self, myself, is Brahman too. I am Atma Brahma. This is one of the Mahavakyas of the Upanishad. This same self, which is the Brahman, which is also myself, has divided itself or has four parts. It has four parts. It has divided itself into four parts, or it exists in four parts. Although in the ultimate analysis it is unity, one. But this one exists in four parts. It is ekam. In some other language, it is ahad, it's one. But it divides itself into four. It's seen as four parts. And what are the parts? This is the third shloka. Jagritasthano bahish prajna saptanga ekona vimshati mukha stulabhug vaishvanaraha pratama pada. Doesn't it sound better than English? Yeah. Okay. So the first quarter is Vaishvanara. Vaishvanara means that which leads all creatures into enjoying all that is on this earth. So this is called Vaishvanara, the fire of enjoyment. The fire of, huh? So we all want enjoyment, right? Every one of us. Our definition of enjoyment may differ, but we all want enjoyment. So the first quarter, the sound is the Vaishvanara, whose sphere of activity, when do we want to enjoy? When we are awake. Right? So whose sphere of activity is Bahish Prajnaha, who recognizes external objects, who has 7 limbs and 19 mouths and who enjoys all the material objects. Now 7 limbs and 18 mouths simply means all the sense organs and all the intellectual faculties that we have put together. The first part of Om, which is represents the waking state of consciousness, which recognizes external objects and enjoys life. Basically, the aim in life is to enjoy. This is the waking state of consciousness. So that is represented by the sound A. So we are now discussed one state which is common to all human beings anywhere in the world, or maybe even beyond if there are other worlds, the waking state. It's called Jagrita. That is the symbol of A. A is the symbol of that waking state. When you are asleep, when you wake up, first you recognize yourself, then you recognize the world. This waking state is common to all human beings. I hope you are all awake, or my drone has not put you to sleep into another state. Yeah? So, then the fourth shloka. U, A, U and Ma, right? So, U represents the other state which is also common to all human beings. What does that say? You must have guessed. Dream. Swapnasthano, Antaprajnaha. It is that state which is the state of dreams, which is Antaprajnaha, which sees inside, not outside objects. In a dream you see many things. Your eyes are closed. It's all inside, right? It's not outside. So, Antaprajnaha, Saptanga, it has 7 limbs and 19 mouths, who enjoys experiences, enjoys the subtle objects. Now, what are the objects enjoyed in the dream? All subtle objects, because they are not actually there. But in the dream, they are very much there. When you are dreaming, nobody will say I am dreaming. It's a reality. When I wake up, it's a dream, of course. Right? Somebody asked the other day, how do we know if we are not dreaming now? Because in the dream, you will never admit that you are dreaming. It's so real. Maybe one day we will be jolted out of this and we'll say, oh my God, what a long dream. We don't know. The consciousness plays in many forms. Anyway, so the second part, which is U, represents the dream state which is common to all human beings. There is nobody who doesn't dream, I am sure. Both night dreams and day dreams. But here they are talking basically about the night dream. And it is also called Tejaso, Tvitiya Padaha. It is also called Tejaso, meaning Swapna. Dream is also called Tejas, because inside the dream, even though the eyes are closed and everything is dark, you see light. So it is self-effulgent. It doesn't need an electric light. It's effulgent by itself. Again, this is common to all human beings. Okay. Now, first is waking, then is dreaming, then what is the next step? You all know. Deep sleep. There is a state of deep sleep where one is not even dreaming. Now therefore, the last syllable of Om, which is a closing, shutting down, Om. That Ma represents deep sleep, which is called Shushupti. Upanishad says, Yatra supto nakam kanakamam, where one being fast asleep does not desire any desire. What desire? When you are deeply asleep, what is there to desire? You desire to go deeper and deeper into sleep because it is so comfortable and nice. You know how we enjoy sleep? When the alarm rings 5 times, we try to switch it off and sleep. Why? Because it's bliss. It's blissful. That's why we want to sleep. Ask some young people, hey, get up in the morning and meditate. Or get up in the morning. Why? Because I'm feeling very nice. I want to sleep. Why? Because in sleep there is bliss. So, where the mind does not desire any desire, there is no desire. There are no objects to desire. There is no dream to get upset or happy. In its own nature, it's in bliss. One does not see any dream. This is called prajna. Yatra supto nakam kana kamam kamayate no kama no kamayate nakamchana swapnam pashyati tat shushuptam. That is called Shushupti, where even a dream is not seen. Shushuptasthana ekibhutah prajnanaghana yavanandamayo hi anandabhuk cheto mukha prajnastritiya padaha. The third quarter is prajna, deep sleep, whose sphere of activity is completely shut up. There is no inner cognition nor outer cognition, who has become one. Again he has become one. Why? Because there is no two. In deep sleep, where is the two? If there is an object outside and you are seeing a reacting, there are two. In a dream, you are seeing a dream, there are two. But in deep sleep, there is only the original one. Because it is all, there is no outer cognition, there is no inner cognition, there is only a full collection of bliss. Probably the bliss is to the essence of the reality, which is free now from likes and dislikes, fear and anger, everything is over. It rests in complete peace. You can call it Swarga if you like, heaven. Who is a mass of cognition, not looking at anything but looking itself, full of bliss and experiences bliss, whose face is thought. Cheto mukha. Thought is its face. That means the first thing that happens when you wake up from deep sleep is thought. I am. That is the first thought. And then the other thoughts. When I am, then the other he is and that is and the world is and my bed is and so on and so forth. So there I am in my original state. But there is a problem. I don't recognize it. I am in deep sleep, but I don't witness it. I am in deep sleep. I enjoy it so much that I don't want to wake up. Right. But there doesn't seem to be a witness out there who is experiencing it, like in the dream and in the waking. But there has to be a witness. Because what happened to the witness that was looking at the waking state and the dream state? Where did it disappear? Where is the self? Now, what has happened is, when you wake up from deep blissful sleep with no dreams, what do you say normally? Oh, it was a blissful sleep, which means there is a remembrance of that state still in my mind, even though at that moment I did not remember it. But there is a faint memory of, aha, that was nice. That is the phase of Shushupti, thought. What thought? Oh, I had a blissful sleep, which even though I didn't recognize then, I recognize when I wake up as a memory. That was blissful. So there was a witness, but that witness was in under anesthesia. He did not see it that time. Wake up, he's remembered. Yes, I did. Right? Now, I think we should stop here. Suspense. Because we have come up to deep sleep. Let's keep you guessing. Go home and read the Mandukya if you have a copy. Next session I will go beyond and say there is also another state, which is the fourth. But you would say there is Om has only 3 syllables, so where is the fourth syllable? When you say Om, Om, it's like ringing a bell. That that what comes after that, it's like you rang a bell and the vibration is in the air. This ringing has stopped, but never ends. Actually, it goes on. We can't hear beyond a certain point because our ear cannot feel frequency beyond a certain point. But it's gone. And it is marked in, when you write Om in Sanskrit, with what is called an ardhamatra, half sound. Which means there is a crescent and a dot on it, like this, like a fire, like a flame. You see how Om is written? On the top there is a crescent, on the top there is a fire like dot. You can simply put a dot, you don't have to put a fire like. So that is the ardhamatra. That means the vibration that comes when sound, which is not, cannot be sensed by our ordinary ears, but which is there. And when we go to the next lesson, the Upanishad says that is called Turiya, and it is the fourth state, which is the inner and hidden meaning of Om itself. Okay. Now we will have some minutes of question answers, 20 minutes or half an hour, depends. So anybody with a question, please.
First question is from Ratnesh.
So namaskar.
Namaskar.
So my question is that how was the sound Om discovered, and then how it becomes so important for all kinds of. You said that it is used in all the religions, and how it becomes so important for all the religions.
1 minute. It's not used in all the religions as Om, but in different variations.
Yes, yes.
For
But the
example,
sound may be same.
yeah. So, for instance, most religions you must understand were born out of somebody's mystical experience. Whoever, any religion is born because somebody had some mystical experience, either in a cave or in the mountain or under the trees or near the sea. Somebody had a mystical experience, and to demonstrate it and make other people understand that, depending on the geography and the language and so on, the religion was made. So it basically from one's mystical experience. So therefore, it may not be that you will find the same Om in all religions, but similar are there. Like there is some religions start with the word A, sound A for the highest being, which in the Semitic languages is represented by the word, by the letter alif, which means a. Put a line underneath, it will become e. If you put something up, it will become u, but it is a basically. In Sanskrit, the whole word om is there. A, u, and ma. How was this discovered? That's your basic question. You know the so-called Vedas, what we call Vedas, till Veda Vyasa, the compiler, put it all in order and made Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Samaveda and so on. It was basically the teachings which were intuitively understood by the great rishis. When I say rishi, it means sages. The Sanskrit word for a sage is rishi. So it was discovered by them. And it is called also the first sound of the Shruti. When you say Shruti, it means that which is heard. You cannot, Shruti cannot be read. Shrotra is the ear. So Shruti can only be heard. So this ancient rishis heard the sound of Om, which is the sound of creation, which is the sound of movement. And then they formulated it into a understandable, readable sound, which is Om. So it was discovered through intuition by hearing internally a sound. This is how it was discovered. In fact, a sound very similar to Om can be heard when nature is at its highest fury, for instance, or when it is, you go and sit near the seashore and listen to the waves. It's not Om, very similar. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Listen to a river flowing. Listen to the sound of wind when it blows hard. Everywhere there will be an element of either the a or the u. Only when it ends there will be the ma. Right? So these sounds we can also hear in nature, but the rishis heard them because their minds were tuned to higher levels of recognition, which is what I was discussing when I said apart from three dimensions there might be another, which is the fourth or fifth or sixth and so on. So the rishis who tuned themselves into dimensions other than the three dimensional world heard this sound in their ears. This is how they discovered that there is such a sound existing. Got it? Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's nice of you to ask. I mean, I'm very happy that you asked this question.
So
Next.
the next question is from Neha.
So
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
question was like, if the state of deep sleep is so blissful and we don't have a segregation of self and what is outside of self, why aren't we not encouraged to just keep be in deep sleep, like just keep sleeping?
Good
Why
question.
do we have to
I
meditate
wish
so
we
much?
were encouraged, but we are not. So, because I'll tell you why. Because in this world, maximum value is given to doing something, attaining something, and you can't do it in deep sleep, you can do it only in the waking state. Plus, in deep sleep, it is more blissful when you are not in conflict. Ordinarily, also, it is blissful, but if you have no conflict and if your mind is not distracted, then deep sleep itself becomes what is called turiya, the fourth state. We have not gone there at the moment. So people don't be, they usually sleeping is classified as laziness. Not true. In fact, the maximum medicine sold today across the counter is for sleep. Everybody wants to sleep. Fortunate few can fall asleep with their head on the pillow. There are many thousands of unfortunate people who cannot sleep unless they pop a pill, which means what? that everybody values sleep. But we have given it a wrong connotation, it is laziness. See, the other thing why sleep is so important is if sleep was not there, already we are mad. We would have gone completely mad, crazy. Because it is in sleep that the mind is at rest, it rejuvenates itself. Why? Because it has no identity at that moment. Look, you are Neha or I am M, right? In the waking state, I go into a crowd and people don't recognize me. I feel, oh, I don't feel, I'm just saying. They didn't recognize me. I went there, they didn't even shake hands with me. They didn't say hello. In deep sleep, what is there? Nothing is there. You don't care what happens. You're not even aware of who you are. Plus, everybody sleeps. When you are tired, you will sleep. Now, when you sleep, you, me, our parents, our teachers, our employers, everybody sleeps. It is the same sleep. Sleep is a leveler. There is no distinction between my driver sleeping and my sleeping. He may be sleeping on the floor, I may be sleeping on the bed. He may be sleeping better for all you know. Right? So, sleep is very important, but somewhere along the line, because throughout history human beings have more concerned with being awake and doing things, so it has been classified as something negative. It's not negative. You need sleep. Sleep is the rejuvenator. Sleep, why? Because in sleep you touch your essence actually, even though you are not aware at that time. So I don't think sleep is bad. It is bad, not bad. It is not good when I am talking and you fall asleep. That's not, because then you won't understand what I am saying. But otherwise, sleep is something to be appreciated. Not that you sit in the class and sleep, but when you go back to sleep, wind up everything, go to sleep. There's nothing better than sleep till you find what is deep meditation. The enjoyment of deep meditation is actually more rejuvenating and relaxing than even sleep. Because there you become consciously aware of what you are not consciously aware of in deep sleep. Think about it, food for thought. Next, I wish we had some kind of examination where we can, okay, doesn't matter.
Vasudha wanted to ask a question.
I need to see Vasudha.
Namaste, sir. Can you see me now?
Yes, absolutely clear.
Hi, sir. First, can you explain the concept of ego? I think it's linked to my actual question. So
What is
my
that?
actual question is this: when we call the self Brahman, how do we how is it different, or how do we separate it from the I am that the ego says?
Right. What did you say your name is? Say
I'm
that,
Vasudha.
Vasudha.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Now, if you say I am the Brahman, and if you, on the other hand you say I am Vasudha, when you say I am Vasudha, then that is the ego. When I say I am the Brahman, that is not the ego. I am saying from the mode of speaking. Okay. Now, what is this ego thing? Ego is a word which has been many times misused and, kind of completely wrongly interpreted. Basically, ego means the feeling of I. I. I am. People say you shouldn't have ego because, oh, I think I am the greatest, the others are lower than me. That becomes a problem. So people say, oh, this person has a big ego. But I believe that no one on this earth can survive without ego, even the greatest of people. If somebody tells you I have no ego at all, please don't believe this. That person has the biggest ego possible. There is nobody without ego. Even to exist and to ask me this question, you need an ego. So what I'm trying to say is, don't put ego in the blacklist. Ego is being conscious of yourself. It becomes bad. When I say bad, it becomes troublesome to others. When I say I am the greatest, I am the biggest, there is nothing more than me, then it becomes a problem. Otherwise, ego per se is not a bad word. You understand? Okay. Now, if I say I am the Brahman, it's actually you are in some way right. My ego can boost, and when I say I am the Brahman, oh, I am the Brahman, that is not the way to understand the Brahman. When I become the smallest of the small, then perhaps I recognize what it is. Because the moment I say this as I know myself is Brahman, then that is an egoistic statement. When I know not this but that which is beyond is the Brahman, which I am, then this ego is not boosted. I have seen many people who say this word and are really full of very strong ego, which is why some great teachers advocated that you please don't say this word, I am Brahman, I am Atma Brahma. They said, okay, what it actually means. See, in Vedanta, since you asked the question, I'm sorry, I need to do this. In Vedanta, when you say Vedanta, people only generally recognize Shankara. But in Vedantic teachers, there have been Shankara, there have been Ramanujacharya, there have been Madhvacharya. Now, there is a danger in Shankara's Advaita of falling into this egotistic problem. Right. So, when Ramanuja interpreted this statement, I am Atma Brahma, Shankara may be right. I am not saying he's right or wrong. I am saying the interpretation. So, when Ramanuja said, I am Atma Brahma, he explained it, and Madhva also, it said that my Atman is of the essence of the Brahman. Not the Brahman, but he put it in a beautiful way. He said, water is water. Talking about Ramanujacharya's Vishishta Advaita, since you asked this question. He said, water is water everywhere. In the sea, in the river, in the pond. Also in the little bowl that you have on your table, which is full of water. It is water, nobody is denying that. But you cannot run a ship on the bowl of water which is on your table. Qualitatively same, but quantitatively and functionally different. It's better to think that way. When you say, I am Atma Brahma, my Atman is of the essence of Brahman, but I cannot do the work of creating and destroying and so on, which is the function of Bhagavan, who in essence is also Atman, is Brahman. You get what I am trying to say? So, if you need to touch that truth which is called the Brahman and understand the meaning of I am Atma Brahman, it is better to be humble than to swell up with pride and say I am the Brahman. That is the psychological factor involved in this. But how did you get to this question? May I ask? What
I
made you?
have Hi, sir. So I have suppressed myself by telling myself that I have a lot of ego, and it didn't probably lead to the best
Correct.
understanding of myself.
Yes. And also to say, I am the Brahman doesn't make you the Brahman. You simply by saying it's only when it's only when the mind is opened up and freed itself from its limitations that one even begins to understand what is the link between me and the Brahman. And for that, the less the ego, the better. But ego is not a bad word. Ego simply means be conscious of myself. So there are good egos and there are bad egos. Right? Thank you. Nice question.
So, should we take couple of questions more?
Yes, we can take 2 more today.
Okay. Okay, sir. So next we have in line Chitij.
Hello, sir. Good evening, and good evening, everyone, as well. Uh, I just wanted to, when we talked about the six senses, like
Yeah.
five
5
senses
senses.
apart from the five senses that we have,
Mm.
and in this day-to-day hustle and bustle, I would say, how do we even make sense out of it? For example, that my eyes are always on a laptop on a mobile screen, and because of the COVID sense and stuff.
True, I
Yeah.
understand.
So when my gut feeling is saying I should not, for example, my gut feeling is a sixth sense that I have right now,
Ah.
that I believe in.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I even make sense out of it? That whether it is right or it is not, because my all of those rest of the senses are occupied so much,
Yes.
and that is the reality that I believe in, because that is
Okay.
happening in the front
Okay.
of me.
Okay.
So how do I
Okay.
even sense out these senses? That's my question.
No. We are theoretically looking at the fact only whether there is anything other than these 5 senses. Not the gut feeling. I mean, that gut feeling can be quite different. Could there be, we are asking this question, could there be, from a scientific point of view, could there be a sense which is other than the 5 senses that we have? That is the question we are dealing with. And we are saying, yes, for hundreds of years, those who have inquired about it have found out that there are other organs of sensation which are other than the 5 senses with which we see the world. Right. So, this is what we are trying to figure out. And the practice of meditation, practice of yoga, all this is meant to open up those centers of perception which are not part of the 5 senses that we have. But for all practical purposes, I am not saying we should shut off our 5 senses. For all practical purposes, it is essential to have your 5 senses, but these 5 senses working at their optimum levels. What we have discovered in this science is that when you strike upon and discover that there is another sense other than the ordinary, that doesn't mean that you are cutting off the 5 senses totally. No. In fact, your sensory instruments would also have a heightened sensitivity. It's not cutting off, it is trying to figure out if there is a sense other than the ordinary 5 senses. That's what I am trying to look at. Of course, you need your 5 senses, there is no question about that. But temporarily, for some time, if you could shut them off, perhaps there is a possibility that there is another sense possible. That's what we are trying. We are just looking into this, okay? We are not concluding anything right now. As we proceed, maybe. Hmm? Yeah. Thank you.
So the
One more.
last question for today, yeah, will be by Saksham Agarwal.
Namaste, sir.
Namaste.
Sir, so I had this question, which is in sleep there is no awareness of two or any objects or even self. How does this awareness of the two come as we transition from a sleep to a dream or a waking state?
That is called the transition. When the inner senses are beginning to open up, there are outer and inner senses. Outer senses are what we know. Apart from that, there are inner senses. One of the inner senses we all know is imagination. In a similar way, there are what are called the subtle senses in the system. This is what sees the dream, right? Now, Because you see, in the dream none of our senses are functioning physically, and yet we seem to smell, we seem to see, we seem to taste. So there is an inner set of senses operating. In deep sleep, even they are closed, even those senses are not operating. Then there is just the mind in its state of not being active either outwardly or inwardly. However, there seems to be a witness who is experiencing it, who is not aware at that moment, we don't know. But when we wake up, we have a remembrance of the blissfulness in deep sleep. We say that was so nice, that bliss. In fact, it's so blissful that I don't want to get up actually. Right? Yes or no? Yes. So, yes. So, that witness is also the witness when the outward senses are working in this world. It is also the witness of the subtle senses that work during the dream state. That witness is there even during deep sleep, but the mind has folded itself up so it cannot recognize even that. However, it registered in the subtle mind. It's called Shushma Manasa, in the subtle mind, so that when you wake up, the remembrance of that blissful quietness without doing anything, without observing anything, is there in the actionless state. And that witness in its pure state is what is called the Atman. When that is touched, the whole chapter is over. Nothing to do then. You touched it, done. So people call it moksha, which means liberation. Simply means that you are not doing anything else then. You don't have to. Because you have realized that all that is myself, not as my name, M or Agarwal or something, but as a presence, as a spiritual reality. When that is understood, yoga calls it kaivalya. Okay?
Ji, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Don't get into moksha right now. We have much more Upanishads to study. Okay. So, I think we need to end it right now for the time being. When is the next session? Tomorrow. So, tomorrow we have another session where we are going to start with deep sleep, Shushupti, as mentioned in the Upanishad, and then proceed. Okay. Thank you very much. An enjoyable session, I must say.
Thank you, sir.
So.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Most welcome.